Sometimes when you're inner tubing and you're on like a small inner tube, it's probably a good idea to start out with one person at a time, because sometimes it just makes it harder for the driver to move, and sometimes it's just, if the inner tube is just too small, it's probably just a good idea to maybe just do one person at a time until either you're more comfortable or the driver is comfortable. It all depends. So just keep in mind when you're starting out with inner tubing, maybe just go by yourself at first, so then you're a little more comfortable. And sometimes when the bigger the person, the harder it gets to do with inner tubing, especially if you have a small inner tube. Hi everybody, it's Mena. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is the very first video that you're seeing of me, then welcome to my channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you didn't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoon sometime. And today in this video, I'm going to tell you guys a story about inner tubing on a small inner tube gone wrong. So this is a story about how two of my friends wanted to go inner tubing, and my uncle was the one driving the boat, and right when we started, it was a little too much, so we kind of had to make them do it one at a time because the inner tube was so small. So this is a story just to teach you guys, if you only have a one-person inner tube, unless you have like a little kid with you, it's good to probably do one person at a time, because sometimes it just makes it easier for the driver, and sometimes I think when there's two big people, I mean, two adults on an inner tube, excuse me, or two teenagers, you kind of got to keep in mind, unless you have a really big inner tube that's fit for two persons. So just keep in mind when you're a parent and you want to inner tube with your child, it's okay to go inner tubing with your child, but just please make sure you follow the safety rules when it comes to inner tubing. Like always wear a vest and maybe do just one person, so then it just makes it easier, especially if the inner tube is kind of small. So I'm going to get started, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. And because I won't be using names for safety purposes, I'm going to be using substitute names. My friends will be called Inner Tube 1 and Inner Tube 2 because they were intertubing. So I think this all started about, this all started about 19 years ago. This was after the summer I had finished chemo, and I was on a camping trip with my family, and we're on the camping trip, and my uncle, who sadly passed away in 2014, was taking me and the family on the boat ride, and my friend went with us too, and I had another friend. We're gonna give my friend's name, and we'll call them Inner Tube 1 and Inner Tube 2, just because they were inner tubing, and everybody was happy. I went inner tubing with my friend, and it was a pretty small inner tube at the time. So we were inner tubing, and we were having such a great time inner tubing. And as we were inner tubing, two of my friends, Inner Tube 1 and Inner Tube 2, both wanted to go. So they put on some vests, and then they put some gloves on, because my uncle had gloves on the boat for inner tubing. And as they put the gloves on and like the vest, because you're required to wear a life vest when inner tubing. I'm sure if you guys water ski or inner tube, you probably know you're supposed to wear a life vest at all times just for safety. And so they put on the life vest. So they put on the life vest. They both go in, and they hold on to the inner tube, follow my uncle's instructions. And as my uncle starts the boat, he starts going fast on the inner tube. And as he's going fast on the inner tube, both my friends, Inner Tube 1 and Inner Tube 2, fall right off right when he starts the boat. I don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if he started to go too fast, or if the water waves were too hard, but they were okay. So my uncle steers the boat around to make sure Inner Tube 1 and Inner Tube 2 are okay. And we were like, are you guys okay? We're like, they're like, oh yeah, we're fine. And then my uncle tells inner tube 1 and inner tube 2 that maybe that only one of them should go one at a time should go because because the inner tube was so small it couldn't fit both of them. So they were totally flexible. So inner tube 1 I think went first, and then she kept going until she fell off, and then inner tube 2 went next, and she kept going until she fell off. And it was pretty good. They probably were only on for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes because my uncle drives the boat would drive the boat pretty fast. And my friends had such a great time, and it made it extra fun. So we did do, and a couple people went inner tubing, but I think people just only went one at a time because, like I said, the inner tube was kind of small, and it could only fit 1 or 2 people sometimes, but my uncle just wanted to do 1 person at a time, I think, just because it made it easier for people to hold on. So it just went pretty good, and then we just kind of like switched back and forth and had a great time inner tubing. So the moral of the story is when you're inner tubing and you're on a very small inner tube, it's probably a tube that only fits kind of like 1 person. Sometimes you can fit 2 people, but I think it depends on the size of the inner tube. If you have a really small inner tube, it's probably a good idea to just do 1 person at a time just to start out. Even if you're beginning with inner tubing, it's just probably a good idea to start off with 1 person at a time. Unless you have a small child with you, it's good to inner tube with your child, but if you have 2 people, sometimes it gets a little difficult, especially if the inner tube's kind of small. So just keep in mind, maybe just do 1 person at a time for inner tubing when you're starting out, so then you're more comfortable. And that's also so the driver's more comfortable and it makes it easier for him. And maybe a good idea is just if the person falls off the inner tube, then you can go next, because also that makes it kind of extra fun. But always make sure that you wear your life vest and make it easy on the driver, because sometimes when you have 2 people inner tubing, it does get a little difficult for the driver. Unless it's a 2-person inner tube. So that was a story of inner tubing gone wrong. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoons sometimes. And I'll see you in another video soon. Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe.